Hello and welcome to On Wednesdays We Wear Black with me, Sophie K, Yasmin Suman, and our very special guest, the hilarious comic, Luke Severeid! Woo, 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 woo! We had to ask you to come on the podcast because we were looking through TikTok and there aren't many people who are comics but also talk about heavy music. So just to start us off, what kind of music are you into? Because I know you talk about Gojira and metal, but I haven't seen
Yes. Yeah, I've kind of kept it intentionally vague, a little bit because, casting a broad net, and maybe this isn't the best introduction, but I do feel like metalheads are judgmental
Yeah.
to an extent. And so if I go, hey, this is where I find the most dopamine, I'm gonna alienate a bunch of dudes who look like me, going like, that's not the right kind of, and
Yes.
Yeah.
and I just haven't formulated the perfect joke to rebut that yet. So, but I'm fine with sharing here. I do think my main genre is metalcore.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, see, non-enthusiastic response. That's
I
fine. We
love
don't have to be
metalcore. I
okay. All right,
love metalcore.
passive aggressive. Uh, it is so defend. It's such a vulnerable thing. People have asked me on
Yeah.
stage what my favorite band is. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you so that you can then judge me and then maybe dismiss like my opinion afterward.
Yeah, because people want to hear you say Slayer.
Yeah.
And it is, dude, not that much of a fan. No offense, but I'm not.
You wouldn't believe it, but we also did a reaction to Slayer, and oh my god, it pissed people off when I went, Slayer? Oh my god, Slayer, right? And people were like, no, Yasmin, it's a band. And I was like, what?
So who is
I
your
know,
ultimate? Who's the
hilarious.
one? Who's the band that you're...
Oh, that's another. I kind of have a weird perception of bands because the longer I do just comedy and stuff in general, like the less I don't elevate them. Like they're just
Yeah.
dudes and dames with demons that do fun things. They make art that I like. I think probably I've had several favorite bands. I mean, started off, got into metal music, mid-teens, something like that. Just kind of happened upon it because raised pretty religious, didn't have any of that. But it was like Slipknot, Mudvayne. Those were the first, like the real. That's
The
when the
new
dopamine
metal.
like really hit. Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah.
something with the swing of it, and it was such a weirdly brief period of time where it's just like, hey, this is good. And then a bunch of people were like, but the rap is terrible. And then even the people who liked it hated it at the same time. It was such a
Yeah.
weird. And then they moved on pretty quick. Honestly, I think there should be more rap in metal just because the aggressive, like I can't rhyme at all. I do
Yeah.
alliteration, but I just like you listen to some Slipknot, older stuff and some other bands that are just going, I'm like, oh, that's a fun. Ooh, that's a new swing to it. Anyways, and then got into Dark Tower, Between the Bear to Me, blah blah blah, a bunch of other bands. And but I do think probably Every Time I Die is probably like my favorite, like consistently has made me happy. But then I pay attention to how the band broke up and all the drama around that. And I'm like, all right, I can't like I'll look up to you for the art you
Yeah.
make, but your behavior makes me go like, all right, that's right. Everyone's doing a thing.
So if you had to... Like, what was your first... Did you say your first record was around the Slipknot new metal era?
A little bit before that, first record, I got was it Columbia House Music, where you just that I don't know if you guys had that over there, but in America, well, I'm gonna date myself, unlike the white in my beard already does. It was like probably late '90s. You could there was a company that you'd give them 20 cents and they'd send you like 20 albums or something, but
Oh,
it was
okay.
whatever they had. Yeah.
I remember those, yeah. Okay, and so what song would you put as... Because we're going to build a playlist with you today. What song
Oh
would you
no.
put on as
Yeah.
your favorite, as your first track? Like,
Okay. So from that batch, I'm not saying anything, but nothing that I really, really wanted. But I did get the first Cold Chamber album, and that was fun because it was also like as a fun introduction to metal because it's like you guys cannot be taking yourself seriously. Like you're singing about big truck
yeah.
Mm.
But they
and
were...
like that. Say what?
They're all taking themselves seriously in this scene.
Were they? I mean, I just lyrically, I'm like, you can't be saying "big truck" and not being like, "All right, you guys."
Okay, it's a cold chamber.
Speaking of jokes, I wonder because like I'm not funny. I'm very famously not funny. In fact, I'm very famously annoying on the internet. That's my brand. I wonder what is your favorite joke that you tell during your set? I feel like that person now who's like, "Tell us a joke, funny man."
Mm. Uh, you're not. You are, but you're not. Because this makes sense in this context because you're asking a question instead of just demanding I do my job the second you hear what my job is. It's honestly it's rotating. It's really I really enjoy fresh jokes. They don't have to be like brand new, but the ones that are evolving and like
Mm.
getting better. Um, there's one that I've only done a handful of times just because it's a relatively recent event, but I have a joke about only recently becoming a conspiracy theorist after July 13th.
Oh my
Like
god.
just that you remember the day that one guy tried to that one
Yeah,
grandpa.
yeah,
Yeah.
the bullet that went through the ear, but the ear was
Hey, it nicked the ear.
it nicked.
Yeah, see,
You
but
got a
even it's
piercing at best.
I think it actually healed up pretty fast. It's almost like it didn't even happen. Uh
Okay, I'm sold. I'm sold.
Yeah, you guys, I saw the hesitation. That's also why I enjoy doing the joke is that it's about such a divisive individual, but I'm like
Yeah.
I have my perception of things, but I'm also trying to write it in a way that makes someone who is like team that guy still laugh at it even I like the jokes where I get to like insert a little bit of my perception of reality and my like philosophy, but in a palatable way if I can. Because
Mm.
really the arc of the joke is me just going like, it is an absurd day. It does seem very, very potentially like you could see this as like a manufactured thing, and everyone tried to make us feel bad for him that day, and I'm like, you can't get mad at people for saying a thing the guy's own wife would have said, like.
It's
Yeah.
hard for us. I tell you what, the trepidation is coming from us is because we are like in the UK. I think our perception of that guy is quite different here in the UK, and we're a lot quicker to make fun. And I think when you're talking to people from America, we have to tread carefully because
Mm.
we are known for saying things that piss people off sometimes. So
Yeah.
we have to, because a lot of
Mhm.
metalheads lean that way, and it drives. I'm just like, what?
A lot of metalheads love Trump. A lot of metalheads love Trump. And with the horrible jokes, I'll never forget that I logged onto Twitter to find out that he'd been shot by someone editing editing a Claire's logo and getting get your ears pierced at Claire's today, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh dear,
No.
oh dear, oh dear, that's not fun.
No,
Um,
that's a nice one. I do like that. I like that. I
yeah.
like it when a comic tests the audience and makes them feel slightly uncomfortable and have to look around before they laugh.
I do
Yeah.
too. It's ideally they can present it in a way like it should be so good that they don't even have to look around. But that is also, I think that's a byproduct of very liberal audiences too, is the
Yeah.
checking to be like, is it allowed?
Yeah.
Uh, and also me just personally with that whole situation, like I got really irritated with the blowback on jokes at that time. So I was hesitant. That's also why I'm like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
make a good joke out of this because Kyle Gass
I was about
got
to
dropped by
say,
his agent. Yeah,
if
Tenacious
Jack
D
Black
broke
was in
up.
the room, you were out. You're done. You're done.
I was stalking your social media. That sounds really crazy now I say it. Sorry. I was like gonna be like, I was stalking your social media. No, I'm sorry, I'm crazy. I was stalking and having a look, and one of my favorite jokes you tell is about how like musicians, frontmen will try and tell jokes on stage, and you're
Mm.
like, dude, you're fucking stealing my job. What do you think of frontmen telling jokes on stage? Have you ever been in the crowd where they've told a bad joke and it's gone down poorly, and you're like, oof.
It My rage comes from the fact that it rarely goes poorly, so they don't learn their lesson.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and to be a stand-up comedian, you need to learn your lesson. You
Yeah.
you need to go up there, say a thing, have it fall flat, and feel your body break out in flop sweat.
Mm.
And the arrogance of these individuals who don't even play an instrument, they just go "Mah, mah, 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 mah," the whole time. Not saying it's, but in between songs, when the band who's doing most of the heavy lifting is getting in tune and calibrated again, you take it upon yourself to talk for 5 minutes and tell dad jokes the whole time and get big laughs on hacky shit that is probably delivered better while being read off of a popsicle stick. So
Yeah.
didn't stick the landing as well as I wanted to on that one. I started watching myself not talk well when I stumbled. But it annoys me. If it's good jokes, that's great, because that's also like that's what I came for, a good show. And
Yeah.
it's fun when someone does a thing that I respect. It's just when it's bad jokes and they get big laughs. Like that is, I'm not a religious person, but that is heresy in my eyes.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
thinking now of all the front people. Who have you seen joke on stage, Yasmin?
I saw the guy from Movements recently because they had like sound tech issues, and he was just like, "So how's the weather, guys?" And everyone was like, "Haha, it's raining right now. That's why your sound equipment is broken."
I guess that's awkward. So that's
Ha
yeah. Michael Ackerfeld is one of my favourites because he's just so dry that I don't even know if he's joking or he's
Mm.
just saying things. Um, But my favourite, I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called Skindred. Benji Webb has got to be the funniest frontman I have ever seen. He basically just calls the entire crowd cunts. I was going to ask you about, because you mentioned jokes earlier falling flat, and I think we've all been in that situation. I panic on stage, and
Mm.
I know that what I tend to do is I then start talking more and digging myself into a deeper hole, and then it's like I lose track of what words are coming out of my mouth. So at that point, anything goes. I think the worst time I ever did it was at the Royal Albert Hall at an event for children with cancer.
Mm.
Not laughing at children with cancer.
It was,
Yes, she was. Actually, you guys, I just checked. And she
yeah,
was laughing at
Yasmin,
kids
you
with
did.
cancer.
I saw, um,
Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
it was bad. I got absolutely rinsed on social media because I don't know what I was saying, but I wasn't saying great things. I think at one point I threatened to strangle the audience if they didn't donate money, but that's anyway. Have you ever had a joke fall flat? Have you ever got yourself in a really awkward pickle?
What I like about your story is that it was probably like the worst thing anyone in that audience had to deal with in the last couple months. So you should feel
Yeah.
really bad.
And then there's me thinking about how I felt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
All
then
these people that are thinking about their 5-year-olds with stage 3, and you're just like, I flubbed a line.
yeah, I'm how terrible. I've got it so hard in this world.
No, but it is so hard to it sucks to bomb. Like it's a fight or flight, and then you can't flight. So you're
Yeah.
just up there with the adrenaline and cortisol and what other smart words of hormones in your body that happen when you're not doing well. But yeah, I mean, you even saw me when I was like 5 minutes ago. I was rambling, and then I lost my train of thought slightly, and I just threw more words at it to get to the end of the sentence in hopes that it would get
Yeah.
like a laugh a little bit. Um, I've done that countless times. I'm an ADHD pothead. So like chaos is my fuel. It didn't start out that way,
But
but now we're
really
here.
slow chaos
Yeah.
with the
Slow chaos?
pot.
No. Oh
Does
no,
the
no, no,
pot
no, no. Not
what
for me.
so the weed doesn't like slow you down
It makes me
as
dumber, but I'm not slower.
oh,
Like
interesting.
physically, I'm it makes me manic. I've done many stand-up comedy shows with cannabis as an element, and so doing that enough times, when THC enters my system, my brain goes, oh, now we have to perform. So it is like I've
Oh
Stockholmed
wow.
myself into, it's become my spinach, and then I go "Ah, ah, ah, ah," and then I show my forearms like Popeye.
Yasmin won't understand that reference.
Is
Do you know
that the
Popeye?
Popeye guy? Yeah, the bald one. The
Ah,
bald
he's
guy
not.
with the
He's
big eye.
maybe, and he's got an underbite like me.
Yeah,
Hi
yeah.
guys.
Oh my god, it's so
Yeah.
nice to meet you, Popeye. I'm such a big fan. No, I'm kidding.